The arena shimmered beneath three suns, their rays carving harsh shadows across the titanium walls of the Yreth Colosseum. Thousands of alien eyes watched from the stands, breathing as one, hissing, clicking, rumbling in a chorus of contempt. At the center stood a single man, his body battered and his uniform scorched. Commander Rian Holt of Earth looked impossibly small before the monstrous figure towering over him. General Vorakesh of the Yreth Dominion was a creature born for war, her scaled skin glinting dark blue, her claws long and wicked. She moved like a storm-given form, her armor polished with the dust of conquered worlds. She circled the human, her voice echoing across the arena. "You claim your kind possesses something beyond strength, beyond fear, beyond pain," she said. "Then prove it, human." The crowd roared. The words became a chant, a thundering wall of sound. "Prove it. Prove it. Prove it." Rian didn't move. He stood straight, blood dripping from a cut above his brow, eyes locked on hers. Somewhere under the grime and exhaustion, a smirk twitched at the corner of his mouth. "You really want me to?" he asked softly, almost kindly. The horn sounded, signaling the start of the trial. Vora moved first, a blur of speed that shattered the ground beneath her. Rian barely threw himself to the side before her claws tore a deep trench where he had stood. Sand exploded into the air, and the sound of her impact was like thunder. He rolled, came up on one knee, and swung a jagged shard of metal at her leg. It scraped harmlessly against her armor, leaving nothing but a bright scar of sparks. The Yreth crowd erupted in laughter. Vora's mouth curled into a sneer. "Is that the best your species has?" Rian coughed, catching his breath. "We're just getting started." Her tail lashed out before he could react, slamming into his ribs. He felt something break, and the world flashed white for a moment. He hit the ground hard, every breath like knives in his chest. She approached slowly now, savoring it. "Kneel, human," she said. "Show me what courage looks like when it bleeds." He spat blood, forcing himself upright. "Looks a lot like this," he said, grinning through broken teeth. The crowd grew silent. Even Vora hesitated, surprised that he still stood. Humans were small, fragile, weak, and yet this one refused to fall. Deep inside, beneath the pain, Rian remembered a promise to his daughter. "Mira, I'll come home," he had told her, "even if it's just as a story." And that promise burned brighter than fear. Vora roared, the sound vibrating through the metal stands and deep into the bones of every spectator. "You stand only to die slower," she hissed and charged again. The ground trembled under her weight. Rian barely dodged, rolling aside as her claws cut through the air where his head had been. He felt the shockwave of the strike shake his teeth. She swung again, faster this time. Her claws slashed across his side, ripping through armor and flesh. The pain was fire, but he didn't fall. He staggered, stumbled, and somehow stayed on his feet. Vora's eyes narrowed. "You fight with pain instead of skill," she said. "Your body is breaking." Rhea steadied his breath, tasting blood. "Yeah," he muttered. "That's how we learn." He lunged forward faster than she expected and drove his shard of metal between the plates of her thigh armor. It didn't cut deep, but it made her step back, a small hiss of surprise leaving her throat. The crowd gasped. No one had ever drawn blood from a Yreth general in open combat. "You think that matters?" she growled, wrenching the shard out and tossing it aside. "Maybe not," Rian said. "But it's a start." Her tail struck again, this time smashing into his chest. He hit the sand hard, ribs screaming. For a moment his vision blurred and his mind screamed at him to stop. But then he remembered Earth, its green forests, its oceans, his daughter's laughter. He couldn't die here, not yet. Vora loomed over him, claws raised. "Give up, human!" "I offer you mercy. Your people will live as servants under our rule. It is the best you can hope for." Rian laughed weakly. "Mercy? You wouldn't recognize mercy if it punched you in the face." The crowd erupted in outrage. No one had ever dared mock the general. Vora's face twisted with fury and she struck downward. But instead of retreating, Rian moved forward. Her claws tore deep into his side, but he used the moment, grabbed one of her horns, pulled himself close, and shoved something small and metallic under her chest plate. She looked down in confusion. A tiny red light blinked. "You want to know what makes humans different?" He gasped. "We don't stop." "Not when it hurts. Not when we're broken. Not ever." The grenade detonated. Light and fire consumed everything. The shockwave lifted sand, smoke, and bodies into the air. When the dust settled, Rian lay on his back, armor burned, body motionless. And before him, The great Vorakesh knelt in silence. Her armor cracked, smoke rising from her chest. The smoke cleared slowly, leaving the arena eerily silent. Vorakesh knelt in the sand. Her obsidian blue armor cracked, blue blood leaking through the fractures. Her massive frame trembled as she stared at the small, battered human in front of her. The crowd froze, thousands of alien eyes wide in disbelief. Humans were weak. Humans were fragile. Humans were not supposed to survive this. Yet here he was, broken, bloodied, and still moving. Rian groaned, forcing himself onto his knees, each breath a sharp stab of pain. He looked up at Vora, her claws poised for the final strike, and smiled faintly through the blood and grime. "Welcome to humanity," he whispered, his voice raw. Her eyes narrowed, confusion and shock crossing her reptilian features. No Rith had ever stood against her like this. Pain, fire, and death had always ended all challengers. Not this human. She rose shakily, tail lashing the sand as she prepared to strike again. "Enough!" she hissed. "This ends now!" Her claw came down like lightning, slamming into Rian's chest and throwing him hard into the sand. His ribs screamed, his lungs burned, yet he did not falter. His fingers brushed against the jagged shard he had dropped earlier. With the last of his strength, he grabbed it, dug into the sand, and drove it upward beneath her armor. The shard sank deep. Her eyes widened in disbelief. The crowd gasped. Blue blood spilled across the arena as she stumbled back, clutching at the wound. Her breath came in short, ragged gasps. "You are weak, yet unyielding," she whispered, voice trembling with a mixture of fury and awe. Rian's body trembled, pain clawing through every fiber of him. But he managed a faint smile. "Now you get it," he rasped before collapsing fully, unconscious. For a long heartbeat, nothing moved. Then the voice of the Dominion commander boomed across the arena. Trial concluded. By Dominion law, the victor is human. The crowd erupted, not with derision, but with stunned respect. A species long underestimated had triumphed through sheer will. Rian lay on the ground, battered but alive, as medics rushed to him. Days later, he awoke to see Vora standing silently at the foot of his bed, bandaged and subdued. "You fought." "With madness," she said softly. "And somehow, it became honor." Rian managed a weak grin. "It's a human thing. We don't like bullies." Weeks later, he returned to Earth. When he stepped off the transport, his daughter ran into his arms sobbing. "Daddy, you came home." He held her close, whispering through tears. "Told you I would." Even if it was just as a story. Across the galaxy, the tale spread like wildfire. Rebellions ignited on oppressed worlds. The Yreth Dominion trembled. And in the archives of the galaxy, one hollow recording played endlessly. The moment an alien general said, "Prove it, human," and instantly wished she hadn't.